Join Revolution Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B for Momentary Zen with host Zen Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
Are you a fan of rock and roll? Does it get your feet tapping and your hands clapping? Then be sure to check out Trip Rick's Rock and Roll Hour every Friday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern and Standard Time on Studio B right here at RevolutionRadio.com, where we get down and talk all things rock.
This is the People's War. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all!
See how the trouble you've started?
Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart. You can't take part. You can't even possibly take part. You've got to put your bodies upon the gears. On the all the effort.
Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it. Right, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me.
Revolution Radio.
You're tuned to something different. No scripts, no limits, just pure, unfiltered thought. This is Free Association. Your host, Dennis Barker, brings you the ideas, the questions, and the tangents that matter. Joined by the sharp wit and insight of Karen and the one, the only Dr. Lenny Time. 3 minds, 2 hours, 0 guardrails. Free Association, because the best conversations never stay on topic. Join Dennis, Karen, and Dr. Lenny Time Thursdays at noon Eastern, Studio B, here on Revolution Radio.
The spice expands consciousness. The spice is vital to space travel. Travel without
And greetings, Earth Explorers, and welcome to X Squared Radio. I'm your host, Brooks Agnew, coming to you live from an undisclosed location east of the Appalachian Mountains. This is where the past meets the future, and in here the results are always positive. We might go a little past your imagination, but have no fear, you will be safely traveling with us as we endeavor to treat, cure, and prevent the disease of ignorance. This is the voice of the revolution. And we are streaming to you live with our good friends at Revolution Radio on freedomslips.org, the #1 listener-supported network in the entire country. We are also streaming to you live on several video platforms on Rumble and YouTube and Twitch, DLive, Foxhole, and Truth Refugee, everywhere where good podcasting can be found live and free. The chat room is already filling up. I don't even know how to keep track of it right now. Hang on just a second, Lisa, to see if I can get back to it. Oh, yeah, here we are. Let's see, who was first in tonight? I always like to recognize that person. Oh, it was Bosk Burning was in. And Deborah Pollard's here, and Bayonet Distant Sight, Big D 1955, and Della Meow is here. Runamuck Rick is here. Gramanon is here. Can you borrow $1,000? I'm sure you wouldn't like my interest rate. Bayonet's here. Let's see. Who else? Truth Refugee Washaki Wind is here. All right. I'm glad you all are here. And on Foxhole, if I can figure out how to get there, I'm not showing any chat on Foxhole right at the moment. I'm not exactly sure why. I haven't seen anybody in, but Foxhole must be a little light tonight. That's okay. We got a lot going on. This is an Ask Me Anything night on account of my son and I were working on the engine that's going into the RX-7. I didn't have any time to put any show prep together. So what I'm going to do is go straight off my Discord, which I will share the screen with you guys. And there's usually plenty loaded in there. We can get the conversation started. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and add this, and we'll see where we're at. All right, first story up is this press conference with Trump. And I think it was about the new Air Force One. Let's see what happens here.
So this will be the first flight of what I think is maybe the greatest commercial plane ever built. I said to Boeing, what's the best one? They said, this is the best plane ever built. And you're going to have the privilege of flying it. And I have a privilege also of flying it. But this is the first flight. But I think, to be honest with you, I'm excited about the first flight. It's something nobody's ever seen anything like it. Even you people with all your experience and all of your talent, you will never see anything like this. So they just completed it. They made it appropriate for a president. That means the security and all of the different bells and whistles they put on. Very complex stuff, but it's really quite something. And this is a plane that the United States of America should have. Our Air Force One was 36 years old, and it would be parked next to the new ones like this, and it really didn't look appropriate for our country. So we're very proud of this. The country is very proud of it. And you can do two things. You can low-key it, or you can show it. And I think the country should be very proud of it. And it's beautiful, and you'll see that in a little while when you board up. As far as things are going, the denuclearization of Iran is moving along well. They've had very good meetings, and we'll see. We hit them very hard for 3 nights, as you know. But we're getting along very well. So I call it the denuclearization. And it's all taking place. It's all going well. The stock market is setting records virtually every day. The oil price is way down. We're down at 68. I see it at 68 today. That's lower than when I started the, I guess you could call it an attack on Iran so that they didn't have a nuclear weapon. So the oil price is now lower. The retail prices, the gasoline is coming down rapidly. And if you have any questions, let's go.
What's your favorite upgrade to the new plane, and how much did it cost American taxpayers to upgrade the plane?
Well, of course, very little relative to what it would cost if we did it a different way. So this was a gift from a country that's treated us very well, and they're an ally of us over in the Middle East, Qatar. And I went to Boeing. I said, "Who has the best one?" They said, "Qatar." There's never been a plane like it. Frankly, we couldn't build a plane like this because we wouldn't be willing to spend the kind of money necessary. They spent top dollar. So the head of Boeing said, this is considered the best 747 they've ever built. And I went to Qatar. I said, I'd like to use it for a period of time because the other ones, as you know, are under construction. They'll be here in 2 years. And because, the plane is 35 years old. So I said, I'd like to use it. And the Emir, Tamim, who's a great gentleman, he said, no, I'd like to make a contribution to the country. So it was very nice. And we were able to do it in about 5 months, bring it up to the presidential standard, meaning security-wise. And you're gonna get a kick out of it. There's just nothing like it.
Mr. President, financial disclosure shows you had a very lucrative year last year. What message does this send to average Americans, especially those?
Well, I don't get involved in my personal. We have fun. That run my money. Before I became president, and they invest. I don't talk to them. I don't even speak to them. So I have many people. I don't know what they call it, closed accounts or something. You put your money in, and that's it. I don't talk to them. They're big institutions, and they run it. But yeah, I've had a great career in business. I've had a great career. I don't know if I've had a better career in politics or business, but I had a great career in business. And you saw the cash. And you report the different things. And what they do is we gave it, I think it's called a blind account, but they take it. And I never speak to any of the people that run the money, but they're at big institutions and they invest in whatever they invest in.
Critics say you're profiting off the presidency.
Well, you know why I'm profiting? Because the stock market's going up. Everybody's profiting. If you have a 401k, how's your 401k done? It's about up 85%. Thank you, President Trump. So we're all profiting. I'm profiting because I have a lot of money and a lot of cash, and I give it to institutions. I don't know if they know what they're doing or not, but they buy a vast array of things.
With Secretary Hegseth and General Payne about potentially returning to an all-out war with Iran. Dean, you've been unhappy with Iran's adherence to the MOU?
Well, I think they've come a long way. We hit them very hard last week. I think they're fine. I think we're going to. It's the denuclearization of Iran. It's very simple. And Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Otherwise, all of this stuff that we look at, all of these things that we do, the country's never had activity like it's got right now. So we're building more factories and car plants and other things. We went for years without ever building one car plant. Now we're building many car plants. We're building AI. We're building all over the country. $19.1 trillion being invested. The record was like 2, and we've got 19.1, and it's going to continue. And when those buildings open, you're going to see something like the country's never seen before. That's why the stock market's going up every day. That's why your 401k, because everybody benefits. When the stock market goes up, everybody benefits. More jobs, more everything. And we're creating more jobs. We have more people working today than have ever worked in the history of our country. Great. And that's before these places open. They'll be opening up over the next year. And we have them coming into Taiwan. From Taiwan, we have more chip makers. And the biggest company in the world, actually, the chip maker. But they're coming in, they're building in Arizona, and they just announced they're going to double the size. We could have 50% of the chip market by the time I leave office. You know what we had now? Nothing. And then I got as a gift, another gift, I said to Intel, give the United States, they needed something, they needed some help, the chip maker. I said, give the United States of America, I'll do it for you, but give the United States of America 10% of your company. He said, you have a deal. He said it so fast, I said I should have asked for more. But he said, you have a deal. And that stake is now worth $80 billion. I made $80 billion for the country in 8 months. Does anybody talk about it? No. Have a good time. Have a good flight. Enjoy the plane.
Quick question. We've got D&I Pulte over there as the new director. We also know you have the task force set up on declassification, maybe talking about international, maybe looking at some declassification. Are you able to give us an update on that?
Declassify almost never. And, by the way, we have Jay Clayton is going in. Bill Pulte's a very talented guy, but he's just there temporarily until Jay Clayton. And Jay Clayton is going through the process. And Jay Clayton, highly respected, and so is Bill Pulte. But Bill is there just for a fairly short period of time. But while he's there, I said, you can declassify whatever you want.
Do you think we're going to get something?
I told him you can do it as fast. You got to ask him. But I think a friend of yours. I think that Bill will declassify it. I told him you can declassify whatever you want. So Bill's there just, for maybe a month or 2 months or something. And Jay is going through the process. He's got a hearing in 2 weeks. Highly respected man, Jay Clay. Okay? Thank you. Did you get any more Pulitzer Prizes? You know what? A Pulitzer Prize? A picture of the plane. Margot, are you taking care of everybody? How's Margot? Okay. Thank you, everybody.
All right. So that was President Trump's impromptu press conference in front of Air Force One, the new Air Force One from Qatar, which I would say probably cost about $8 billion. That's my guess. President Trump built 2 Air Force Ones for that, but they're not finished yet. They won't be finished till 2028, and he's out of office. So kind of nice to have that. I appreciate everything he's doing for the country. Somebody asked a question about, why aren't we profiting on our Social Security? And I would say that you're probably right. And the reason is because so many people are on Social Security that are not supposed to be there. We have so many illegals on Social Security of some kind or another. They're depleting the fund. If we got all the illegals off of Social Security and only had it for the Americans that actually paid into the system or the spouses thereof, we could probably have 50% raise, which I'm all for. And we would have a flush Social Security fund for a long, long time. It wouldn't be ending in 2028. It would be something like 2050 or maybe beyond, because there's so many people working now that are actually paying into the fund. By the time they retire in 20 years, that money is going to be there to support them. But right now, that money is there to support us. We paid into the system for the retirees before us, and now we're retiring, so the money they're paying into the system is for us. Keep in mind, Social Security is not a benefit. It is not a benefit. Don't let anybody tell you that it is a benefit or that it is an entitlement. We paid into the system, and we're getting our money out. And I don't know about you, but I plan on being around for another 30 years, so I'm going to be drawing Social Security for a long, long time. Yeah, Revolution Radio, for some reason, does not play the share screen audio. So I send out the share screen audio through Rumble Studio, but it does not make it to Revolution Radio. For some reason, they don't take the feed from me. I take the feed from them. So that's how it works. I apologize for that. If I'm playing videos and you don't get to hear any audio, that's just a flaw in the system, and I wish I could get around it. Let's see, what other questions did you have? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wish for justice too. Hopefully we see some of these people that have violated our federal laws begin to go to prison. I don't even like the word accountability. That doesn't make it for me. I like the word justice. We're in the justice cycle, in the cycle that society goes through, the mercy, peace, justice, war, mercy, peace, justice, war. We're in the justice cycle right now, but we're nearing the end of it. We're nearing the end of it one way or the other. Either we're going to have justice or we're going to have war. And if you watch what's going on in Florida right now, a lot of pastors, a lot of churches, a lot of church buildings are selling to Muslims. And Muslims are changing the churches, not by the dozens, by the hundreds, into mosques. If you think we don't have a problem with Islam in this country, you have another thing coming. And I don't see a peaceful way out of this. They're either going to wipe us out and destroy us. We'll either convert or die, or we kick them out of the country. And I don't think that's going to be a peaceful process. It's just not going to be. Islam is here to conquer us. They've made it clear. They're already taking over the weak Democrat positions around the country. These primaries are being lost by incumbents. Another one was lost just the other day, just last Tuesday, to another radical Islamist and communist. And It's because they're vulnerable. They're vulnerable for two reasons. Number one, because the Democrat slush fund has been severely truncated. That is to say, all of these money laundering schemes that the Democrats have had for 70 years, they're being discovered and they're being shut down. And that means that these Democrats that normally don't have the money to run a campaign don't have the money to run a campaign now because that slush fund is not there. So these Democrat positions become vulnerable. And what they do is they run very lucrative and very expensive, very aggressive campaigns, and they're unseating these Democrats, and the Democrat Party is changing. It's going from the working man's party that maybe it was back in the 60s. It certainly hasn't been that in a long, long time, not since Harry Reid and Chuck Schumer have been in charge of it. But it is not that party anymore. It is now the party of Islam. It is the party of communism. It is the party of child mutilation. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that like those things and they vote for those things. And we also have a big problem, and that is that the Supreme Court has very recently made a decision on the key case that they had before them, which was Donald Trump versus Barbara. This is an executive order that was written by Donald Trump to end birthright citizenship. And I expected that the Supreme Court would go originalist on it. They would go back to the 14th Amendment. They would read it. They would read the two court cases that have been subsequent to that, the Native American lawsuit and the Kim Wong-Ark lawsuit. And they would then say, you can't just be born in this country to an illegal, because it specifically says that in the opinion that was written when the 14th Amendment was ratified. And that is that illegals, children of diplomats and visitors and tourists don't count as citizens. But since 1898, the Democrats have controlled government, literally for all but 14 years of that time. Democrats have controlled government. And so what they have done is they've created for themselves, the Democrats have created for themselves a constituency in illegals. And it was really, really bad. It was bad in the days of Eisenhower as well. And Eisenhower deported them twice, 3 million, which is a lot in Eisenhower's day. And they didn't come back. But since that time, they've been building it up, and now it is a joke. However, I will say in the dissent that Kavanaugh wrote, he did say that if Congress were to pass a law that defined this a little bit better, he would not consider that unconstitutional. And I think there's a sizable movement behind that. And there are several things about it. Okay, let's just take the first one, which illegals come into this country. They don't have visas. We don't know anything about them. They're here, they have a baby, and boom, that hospital gives them a social security number, and off they go. They're a U.S. citizen. That's the first one. The only way to stop that is the way Tom Homan is doing it. That's deporting all the illegals. Yeah, yes, we're starting with the worst of the worst. And I think generally across the nation, they've done a pretty good job in getting rid of the murderers and the rapists. And now they're working on the fraudsters. It won't be very long. We'll have that cleaned up. I would say by the end of the summer, that will be cleaned up. We went all the way to the Philippines to grab a guy that got away with something like $250 million in fraud. We went there, the FBI captured him, and they brought him back, and he's going to prison. Now, I don't know if he's going to make restitution or not, but the point is that all of that fraud from the illegals being here and manipulating our system has been largely responsible for the national debt that we have right now, which is about $37 trillion. It's insane. So the second part about birthright citizenship is the birth tourism. These are wealthy women that come here to the United States, take advantage of birth tourism networks that are built up in expensive hotels all over the country. There are really thousands of them. They shut down 250 of them in California alone. 250 of them. They shut them down, shut down the operations. These are rich women that fly here, get the best of care, have their babies, get their citizen, and then go home to start training up that citizen. So when they come back, when that child is 18 years old and all radicalized and all indoctrinated, they can come back and vote. And it's not a small number. It's in the 200,000 range. It's significant. If you move 200,000 of these now legal citizens into any precinct in the country, they would swing it. They would swing it totally Muslim or totally communist, whichever side of the coin you want to flip. And the third one is a little more complex. In fact, it's a lot more complex. And this is where wealthy Chinese billionaires, and not the only ones that do it, but most of them are Chinese, they get with their wife, they generate a zygote, like, when you get pregnant, but the baby is not ready to attach to the placenta. They capture it, they freeze it, they transport it to the United States, they implant that zygote into an American woman. They rent her womb. They pay her about $60,000, which she makes in that 9 months. She carries that baby. She gets the best of care. When she has the baby is scooped up as an American citizen and given back to the Chinese parents. No small amount of those either, in the 200,000 range. So this is how the system is manipulated. Now, obviously, you can't have one effort by Congress to undo all that. You're talking about several laws, several debates, several filibusters that have to be done. So it's a long, drawn-out process. But the president can take emergency actions, and that's what I expect will probably happen. What has happened in the last few months is that the Save America Act has been passed by Congress, has been sent to the Senate, and because of the zombie filibuster, which is a filibuster that assumes you need 60 votes to pass anything. And the Senate parliamentarian, who's a communist, appointed by Obama, has been blocking the Save America Act from coming to the floor and going for a straight 51 to 49 vote, or 51 to 50 if the vice president has to step in. It can't pass because of that zombie filibuster. So the president could direct the vice president to go to the Senate and call for what's called a talking filibuster. This is the old, Mr. Smith goes to Washington filibuster, where you go to the floor like Cory Booker and you flap your jaws until you can't flap anymore, and then you sit down, and then they have a vote. It's 51 votes gets the law. He could take over the Senate, and he could make that happen. It's never been done before. It would be radical, and it would set a precedent that would shake the very pillars of America. The other thing that could happen, and this is where I expect this is probably going to go, is the president could declare a national state of emergency for national security reasons. All he needs to do is state that the election infrastructure in the United States has been attacked by a foreign adversary. It has been compromised. It can't be relied on. It's just like if your phone system was hacked, or your computer was hacked, or they hacked our power grid. He would declare a national state of emergency. The federal government would seize control of the grid, and they would expunge the foreign attack. Here's what I expect is going to happen. He's going to declare a national state of emergency to fix or to protect the election infrastructure. And the first thing that's going to happen is he's going to ban all mail-in ballots, unless they go through the U.S. Post Office, and unless they are postmarked the day of election. Now, what this would stop, of course, is the drop boxes. So the first thing that would happen is the National Guard and a select few rednecks with their tow trucks would go gather up every single drop box in the nation and smash it, crush it, take it to the junkyard and smash it. And he would issue a federal mandate: no more drop boxes. All ballots have to be mailed in through the post office, and they have to be postmarked by election day. Now, it doesn't matter if they're counted days later because it was postmarked on election day and it doesn't come in for 7 days. But it must be postmarked by the U.S. mail by election day, by the close of the polls. So that would stop a lot of it. The effect would be to stop the counterfeit ballot operations, all of the ballot harvesting, all of the counterfeit ballot printing operations that are going on right now, like in California. All that would end. All that would end because there'd be no place to take the ballots. You'd have to take the ballots to the post office. The post office would have to check it against the voter rolls. And if that person's dead or that person doesn't live in that area, that ballot will not be mailed. It just won't be mailed. Now, it's going to be a burden on the post office, but it can be done. And you can do it if you declare a national state of emergency. No branch of the government can stand in the way of this national state of emergency. If you do it too soon, then the lawsuits will start flying and some judge will write an injunction. And next thing you know, the battle is on. You have to do it close enough to the election that can't happen. And you have to do it close enough to the election or far enough away from the election that early voting hasn't started. They haven't started mailing out ballots for the presidential or for the midterms in 28 because we don't even know, or 26 because we don't even know who all the candidates are. The primaries are done pretty much, but the actual voting for those positions hasn't started yet. So they're boxing him in to where he has to do that. All right, let's see here. All right, I hate to do this. I really don't know any other way to do this, but I want to talk about this story where this husband and wife climbed the Empire State Building. I was thinking, like Spider-Man on the outside, or did they go up to like the 100th floor and then climb the rest of the way up? No, I think they started from the sidewalk. I don't think it's legal, but I'm going to play the story for you, those of you on Revolution Radio. I hate it. You're on audio only, but this is just a flaw of the system. So here we go.
Well, it wasn't the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce wedding, but the romance was alive in New York City. It all went down a short time ago. 2 daredevil lovebirds climbing to the top of the Empire State Building, flying a flag for peace, it said, before appearing to get engaged and then getting arrested. National correspondent Brian Yennis is reporting live here in New York City on that for us. Not just to the top of the building, they climbed to the very tippy top of the spire, right?
Yeah, the very tippy top of the spire, and with no apparent equipment either. Really remarkable. For some, an awesome love story, I guess. For others, a dangerous criminal stunt. And I guess for some, a little bit of both. We are at the base of the Empire State Building. I can tell you for about an hour, starting at noon today, all of New York City that was around this building was, what was happening. 2 people climbed to the top of the antenna some 1,454 feet above New York City. They unfurled a black banner with white lettering referencing a apparent Jimi Hendrix quote, which says, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." The 2, wearing no climbing equipment, they just hung out up top as news helicopters circled them. The 2 calmly came down from the antenna where they were met by NYPD officers. But before that, the man proposed to the woman. She was wearing a hat with cat ears. She appeared to say yes. She then appeared to take photos of the ring. The NYPD arrested that couple without incident. There are no reported injuries, charges, or things. We expect to walk this couple out actually from a nearby precinct for perp walk at any moment. And as for who these people are, the woman is believed to be Angela, her now fiance, Yvonne Bierkis. She posted a video on her Instagram from the top of the Empire State Building, encouraging people to watch the whole stunt live on the stream. She and her now fiance, according to her social media account, appeared in a documentary in 2024 following this Russian couple as they scaled skyscrapers around the world. Now, the Empire State Building, if you didn't know, is the most photographed building in the world. And as far as what we can expect for punishment, this happened a few times before in New York City's history. In 2008, 2 people climbed the New York Times building, and those 2 people faced charges of reckless endangerment, criminal trespass, and disorderly conduct. It's all purely speculative what charge charges these two could face. This is a historic landmark. For about an hour today, they had the intention of the entire world and New York City, given the fact that New York City is hosting pretty much everything these days, including the World Cup and, of course, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding coming up this weekend. Sandra.
I mean, it takes a certain person to want to do that, I suppose. Two of them. Thank you very much.
All right, so that's the story of the two lovebirds that climbed Empire State Building. Now, of course, somebody could do it one better. They could climb all the way to the top, hang their flag, and then base jump off the building. Yeah, base jump off the building with the parachutes and land on another building and escape. Wouldn't that be cool? I'm just saying. All right, somebody brought up the question about dual citizenship. This is a big problem in Congress. It's also a big problem in the Senate. I forget what the numbers are, but it's something like 180 congressmen have dual citizenship. Some with England, some with Israel. It's crazy. I think that when you are sworn in as a congressperson, you swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and only the Constitution of the United States, and you must renounce all other citizenships. Yeah. And that's how you get rid of that. I think it can be done, but I don't think Congress is going to do it because, like I said, you have 180 that are dual citizens. I don't know why they are dual citizens. They get taxed from both countries, but they maintain dual citizenship, and I think that should end. I'm totally with you, Tatanka Dave. It should happen. Yes, Washaki Win. They have bigger balls than King Kong. Right on. And they didn't get shot down off the building. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. My arms would be so tired. I've rappelled before and I've done climbing before, but I got to tell you, my forearms were just burning off. And I just climbed a tower, that was 60 feet high. I thought my arms were going to fall off. Something that high? Oh my gosh, 1,400 feet. And it's windy, like Tatanka Dave says, very windy. I mean, one gust and they could be a spot on the sidewalk. It didn't look like they were carrying parachutes. What was the other question? Let's see here. Let's see. I can move the chat, but you're chatting so fast that it moves. Hang on a second. Oh, Mark Hovsepian says, forget the midterms. It's a mess. But guess who they have selected for 2028? Kamala and Zoran. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, I hope they do. I hope they do select those two because it'll be the biggest wipeout in presidential history. These little areas where Muslims are gaining traction, they're basically insignificant Democrat areas. They're weak. They're just rubber stamps. That's why they're so easy to replace. Because the constituents in that area have never received any benefit from those Congress people at all. And so these Muslims come in and, of course, promise all kinds of free stuff. And the people who like free stuff elect them. And this is the slimy highway to socialism. It has been done. It's been done in several countries. But it always leads to communism, and there's only one way out, if you get out at all, and that's blood. The only way out is blood. And because what happens is exactly what's happening in New York. Ma'am Danny drains all the bank accounts, demands more taxes so he can get more money. The governor won't give it to him. The federal government cuts him off, and the next thing you know, violence begins to break out. Because socialism only works as long as you have other people's money to work with. I don't think AOC, no, because in order to run for president, you have to have a dynamic personality. That is to say, you got to know a lot about a lot of stuff. If you're asked about, who's the president of, Argentina, or everybody knows that, Bukele, but who's the president of some Latvia or something, and you don't know that name in the debates, you're out. You're out. And AOC can't debate. None of these people can debate. So as soon as they get on the debate stage, they're going to be wiped out. You just have to have a dynamic personality and a plan. You have to have a plan. That's why President Trump won in 2016, because he'd been planning for 23 years. For 23 years, he did not change his platform at all. He went on talk shows, he went on Oprah, he went on Rona Barrett, he went on everybody's show, and he always said the same thing. He never changed the story. And when it came time to run for president, he did so because the country was screwed up. Obama had just about trashed it. And the only way to get it back is for Donald Trump to run. Everybody was ready for a businessman to run and be president. And that wasn't the beginning of it. That was just the beginning of it, coming down the escalator. The rest of it was beating 17 other candidates in the field. And there were no lightweights. You had Newt Gingrich. You had, John Kasich. You had people who already had government experience behind them. And he just slashed them, one after the other. Rubio was out. Cruz was out. It just went on and on. And it wasn't a money thing. It was like I don't know, it was early in 2016 when the election was just starting, campaign was just starting. I asked my son, so, this crazy field of pretty capable people, who do you favor? He said, Donald Trump. He didn't even hesitate. I said, Donald Trump, are you crazy? He said, no. Listen to his platform. And I did. And I got to tell you, though, I was a Ted Cruz guy up until early May of 2016. And then I went to a couple of live events where Ted Cruz spoke, and I talked with him, and I felt that spiral energy. I felt that spiral lawmaker energy, that lawyer energy. And I didn't like it. And it was in May of 2016 that I switched over to Donald Trump. And sure enough, on May 26th, he was the nominee. And he won. And it took the Democrats totally by surprise. They thought it was a joke. They treated it as a joke. Everybody in the world, even Vladimir Putin, thought that Hillary would win. She was a household name. Everybody knew her name. She had a resume like no other woman that's ever run for that position. But she was a bad person and a bad candidate, and had to cheat in the debates to even get as far as she did. She was given the answers in advance, and she practiced her answers, and she coordinated her answers with various hand signals so that the moderator of the debate would give her those questions, and she still lost. She cheated, and she still lost. President Trump won the 2016 election because we here at America Free Radio and podcasters like us, we were talking about the policies. But the Democrats thought social media was a joke. Their polling was they were calling people on landlines, and they were sure, 95% sure, that Hillary Clinton was going to win because what happened from 2012 when Obama squeaked by and won that election against Mitt Romney, what happened from 2012 to 2016 is the phone changed. Most people in 2012 had a BlackBerry, but by 2016, everybody had a smartphone. And the smartphones is where people were getting their news. In those days, it was Drudge Report and Breitbart and WorldNet Daily, and there were some even more far out there news media, and people were getting their news from that. And you had Q, who was, building momentum in the background, and this came along in 2018. But you had information leaking out to people, and they were understanding how corrupt Obama's administration was and how corrupt Hillary Clinton was. But you weren't hearing that on the fake stream news. You didn't hear it on Fox or CNN or MSNBC. You only heard it on the alternative media, which was on social media, and that's why Trump won. And it surprised them. And they didn't really know how to marshal the artificial intelligence-driven counterfeit ballot system until 2018. In 2018, they fired up the system and they won. They had all the Smartmatic systems in place, they had the software in place, and they were able to do it. In 2020, the same thing. We just tried to run a straight election, And he won. I mean, he won on election night. He won. But what happened in the subsequent weeks is the states that he won by huge margins, over 100,000 per people, slowly but surely they chipped away at it with these counterfeit ballots. And as soon as it switched over to Joe Biden and his corrupt organization, if you said anything about it, if you said, wait a minute, some cheating went on, well, all of a sudden you were an election denier and you might as well have been a conspiracy theorist, which we were, but that's how that election got flipped. 2018, 2020, 2022, we managed to make some headway back, and in 2024, we just overwhelmed their system. We overwhelmed their system. And so Trump's third term began. His first term started in 2016. He was in the White House. His second term started in 2020. He was at Mar-a-Lago. He did not have his hands on the levers of power, but he did not stop. He kept writing in his executive orders. He kept writing his policy, putting together his cabinet, vetting his people, putting his team together. And when 2024 happened, he just opened the folders, and there you have it. That's why we've had so many executive orders, because Congress would not do their job. All right, let's see here. Yes, Trump donated to the Democrats for a long time. Yeah, he was their favorite donor. They would go to Trump Tower and they would beg for money, and he would write the check, and off they would go. But of course, once he became a Republican, he became hated. All right, let's see here. Mad Hat is here. You're the only person over there on Foxhole. Call everybody else up and get them to come in. All right, what do we have next here? Yeah, we got that. Oh, okay. This is a story of a liberal waking up, a liberal who had voted liberal her entire life, and all of a sudden she woke up. She got it. So let's go ahead and play that. I know you guys on Revolution Radio are not going to be able to hear it, but everybody else can. So this is what we're going to do. Here we go.
I'm now at a place, and I'm totally agnostic. I don't subscribe to any particular religion, but I am now at a place. I watched a guy on Instagram, and I cannot remember his name. He has a huge following, and he's a Christian, huge following. David Harris Jr. reposts him all the time, and he was talking about how in the Bible it says that there's going to come a time where evil is going to be considered good and good is going to be considered evil. And in that moment, Josh, I was like, that's exactly what's happening right now. That is exactly what we are living now. I don't know if it's biblical. I don't know what it is, but up is down and, right is left and white is black. I mean, it is just an inverted reality that sometimes leaves me thinking like I must have fallen asleep. And, somewhere around, I don't know, like 2016, and at any given moment, I'm going to wake up and go, holy cow, I had the craziest dream. Do you remember when the world was normal? You say that your parents saw this in 91. Honestly, I didn't really see this until 2019.
Yeah, that is in the Bible. Isaiah 5:20, I believe. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. It's right there in the text. Okay. And unfortunately, that is right where we are today. You have a Democrat Party who calls good evil and then calls evil good. Just completely and utterly backwards. But I want to talk about this podcast with Jillian Michaels. Shout out to Jillian Michaels. This was a fantastic episode. Highly encourage you guys to go and check it out. A lot of good stuff from this. But there was one particular segment where basically, there comes a point where we all have our moment of awakening. And you guys got to witness my moment of awakening, because before I started this journey, I was a Democrat. Had never voted Democrat, had never been one of the people that was out there protesting or super into politics. But if someone were to come up to me and ask me, hey, are you a Democrat or Republican? I would have said I was a Democrat. Okay. And so you guys have watched my journey on awakening, or as I like to call it, discovering the truth. But yeah, I want to play this clip. So let's hop into it between Jillian Michaels and, oh, geez, I can't remember this other guy's name. Josh Cedar. Hopefully that's how you pronounce his last name. Anyway, let's hop into it.
You know, I'm searching my soul as you're talking because I was a lifelong liberal. And what I mean by that, I do think there is a very important distinction to make, is that a classical liberal was not the woke progressives that you're seeing today. There's no universe where Clinton was advocating for open borders, late-term abortions, transing children. Like that party has become unrecognizable to me.
As a matter of fact, speaking of Clinton, I do have a clip of Hillary Clinton. So the parties, and I know Democrats will say that Republicans have gone far right, and so that's the problem with this country. No, in reality, it's the left that has gone way off a cliff. And that is why that meme from many years ago, if you guys remember, and I think Elon Musk posted it as well, but there was a meme that basically had an individual, it was like a stick figure, standing basically right in the middle, center left, right? Center left. It was just barely on the left side. And then it had like 2025, 2015, 2020, 2024. And each time that person, they did not move, but the scale shifted because the left had gone farther and farther left. So by the time it was 2024, that person was considered somebody that was on the right, far right at that. But just as an example, here is Hillary Clinton speaking about immigration. Notice what she's saying, because if you're a Democrat of today and you talk like this, you're getting primaried. Check it out.
What are your views with this new government in Mexico? The issue of the border, the fence, and also the issue of the 12 million undocumented workers that we have here in the U.S.
Mexico is such an important problem on our doorstep. Mexican government's policies are pushing migration north across our border. Very briefly on immigration, there isn't any sensible approach except to do what we need to do simultaneously, secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places, and we need to have tougher employer sanctions and then give them some earned right to legalization that will enable them to continue to work. If they've committed transgressions of whatever kind, they should be obviously deported.
What are your views with this new?
Yeah. So not only did she say that, we should deport these individuals, some of these individuals, but she said, put up a wall, put up a physical barrier. If you are a Democrat today saying that, you're going to get kicked out of the party 100%. 100%. But that's where Democrats were 20 years ago. We're Republicans now. Basically right where Hillary Clinton is. Maybe a touch further to the right of that, but not much. Not much. Okay? We're not far off. So to say that we've gone far right is just crazy. But let's hop back into this clip.
But as a classic liberal, I do remember, Josh, my wife, who is a staunch conservative, has been her entire life. When we met in 2018, and she's like, oh, you think you're the party of tolerance? You guys are the most judgmental. You're the least tolerant. And I thought she was crazy. I thought we were the good guys. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like we're the good guys. We're the tolerant ones. We're empathetic. And I truly thought, I really did, that we held the moral high ground until my whole world came crashing down. And yes, the left changed dramatically and quickly, but I was also exposed to so much of the hypocrisy of the left that you're talking about, where it would infantilize people and it would make them victims. And I saw it with my work where it's like, oh, no. Listen, it's okay that you're 300 pounds and you're going to die of type 2 diabetes and heart disease and cancer. That's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And that's when I started to see for the first time the fact that it's like, okay, if we make these people victims, they're going to love us because we're validating their deepest, darkest concerns and we're taking away any responsibility that they might hold. But in doing so, right? So it's like, oh, thank God, I don't have to hate myself for this or judge myself for this, which they shouldn't, but it's not the point. If you make them a victim, they're never capable of like.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They are not capable of taking responsibility. So we have about 2 minutes to the break, so I'm going to take it from here till we go to the break. But the chat room is exactly right. The Democrat Party is not the Democrat Party anymore. And what has happened is this old guard, this old Harry Reid, and for a long time, it was Harry Reid. And then all of a sudden it was Chuck Schumer. But Chuck Schumer was kind of always in the wings. We thought, oh, let's get rid of Harry Reid. But it doesn't matter in the Democrat Party because they have another layer and another. I mean, behind Schumer's Cory Booker. And behind Cory Booker is another, and then another, and it's you realize what the Democrat Party has become, and it can perpetuate itself because of the money laundering operations that they have set up, going all the way back to the 70s. If you look at the work that the Biden family did in Ukraine, setting up that enormous money laundering operation, and of course weapons research and everything. Because Ukraine doesn't really have a government. They just don't. They haven't had free and fair elections in a decade. And you see how they're doing the bidding of England. Yes, England. When the Minsk II agreements were signed between Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin, what happened? Victoria Nuland ordered Boris Johnson to go to Ukraine and tear up that agreement and tell them we're not going to settle this way. We're going to settle it on the battlefield. And Putin said, so be it. We'll settle it on the battlefield. The next thing you know, here's this incursion. And millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people have died because of it. All right, let's take a quick break. And let's see, make sure yes, it's still operating. So the break music is going to play here in about 10 seconds. Then we'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll finish the hour. And we'll take more questions from the chat room. So keep them coming. I will promise I'll answer as many as I can. We'll be right back after this.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
Tune in to the Family Industrial Complex podcast here on Revolution Radio, Studio B, every Wednesday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Get fit, empowered, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Rooster has crowed out the opening bars of a new day. You've dragged yourself out of bed. You turn on your device. You want to know what's going on in the world. But You're hungry for a topical show that serves up those breakfast headlines just that little bit differently. Do you like your early morning news the way you like your eggs over easy? Served with slathers of salsa-like sass? Do you like those first headlines of the day to deliver a punch as powerful as that first cup of joe? Join Mitchell Bupp at his breakfast table for Revolution in the Morning, where he will digest, dissect, and dismantle those new day's national and global news headlines with razor-sharp relish. Find Mitchell here at revolution.radio every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern on Studio B.
Through everything, we have to remember that we have more in common than not in common. And to find this common ground, tune in to Conversations with Eagle Flower, Wednesdays, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio A. Because we come to this table of life to learn in the best possible way and experience this gift of life from our mutual Creator. So let's learn together and build our best future with Conversations with Eagle Flower, Wednesdays, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Studio A on Revolution Radio.
I will defend myself against their tyranny. Number 3 is my radio broadcast. I'm squarely in front of the public all the time, and they all know what's going on.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence.
Hello, my name is John Wayne, and I do a broadcast here at freedomslips.com, revolution.radio, called The Unequivocal Truth, DEFCON 1.
Freedom and fear are at war.
And folks, I assure you, we are in Defense Condition 1, as we journey perilously through this paradigm that we currently reside in. And I ask that you join me every Saturday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for The Unequivocal Truth, DEFCON 1.
We shall never surrender.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at buyer risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Thanks for hanging in there while we took that short break. Now back to America Free Radio with host Brooks Agnew here at Revolution Radio.
Oh, we love our Revolution Radio listeners. I wish you could hear all the audio, and we'll have to work through that technical glitch one of these days. And we have to go back to OBS, which is a very complex way of broadcasting. Nobody does that anymore, but and we could go to StreamYard, but StreamYard is very limited on what you can do with it. So we're using the Rumble Studio because it's easy for me. I don't have to spend an hour and a half prepping all the technical stuff for the program. I could just basically load it up and go. All right. So those of you listening on Revolution Radio, you're by audio through iHeartRadio and Spotify and TuneIn and Orange and all the other radio apps that you can listen while you're driving or working on your favorite project. Please listen closely because we're going to go to my website, which is brooksagnew.com, brooksagnew.com. It's very simple. We're just going to click on this button here, but it's going to take us to my website, which is brooksagnew.com. You know you're in the right place because it says I'm Brooks Agnew. There's my picture. It's pretty easy to figure out. We're going to click on the button that says Ivan, Meben, Fenben, and hydroxychloroquine. And this is an area we call health and safety. I have a way to get you ivermectin, fenbendazole, mebendazole, and hydroxychloroquine without a prescription at wholesale prices with free shipping anywhere in the world. If you can't get it on my website, then you can't get it. Canada, we can't ship to Canada, but we can ship everywhere else. It's very simple to do. We've recently changed banks, so now it's very simple. We don't have all of the fraud detection that we had before, which kicked a lot of you out because your zip code didn't match your card or whatever, silly stuff like that. It's now a lot simpler to do. Most of the product I have here physically in my Charlotte warehouse. So it's a 4-day delivery. If you want hydroxychloroquine, fenbendazole, and get it to you, if you order tonight, you'll have it by Saturday. And you can't get that anywhere else. You don't get service like that anywhere else. Leastways, not for less than $1 a tablet. So you already know that you want it. You just don't know where to find it. Please tell your friends, because this is how we grow. This is the only advertising we do is on this podcast. I don't do advertising on social media at all. The other thing is, if you have questions of how to use these products, there's a book out called Fenbendazole and Ivermectin Protocols, a practical handbook. It is the top-selling book in the field. I sell it off the website, but it's just a link to Amazon. I don't make any money on it. I'm just doing this for my customers. Same thing with True Niagen. True Niagen does not pay me any money. I use it. I have for 8 years. I have not aged in it in 8 years. In fact, I've reverse aged. So, and proudly, I'm now down to 235 pounds. That's down 22 pounds from where I was. Nice and slow, coming down about 1.5 pounds a week. And this is how it's done. You increase your energy by increasing the amount of NAD in your system, not artificially, but naturally. This is a natural product. It's made from milk. And what it does, it causes your body to remake the NAD that you made when you were young, before you were 45 years old. You stopped making it, your mitochondria began to drop off in your muscles, so you got weaker, your skin got saggy, your eyes got bad, your brain fogged up, and you couldn't do anything. It's called old age. It's called old age, and the telomeres on your chromosomes are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and you know what happens when they burn all the way down? You die. You die. It's called old age or malnutrition. That's what it's called. It doesn't matter what you eat. Nothing will save you. You can't make healthy cells because you don't have the chromosomal strength to be able to do so. Your chromosomes have timed out. It's your time to go. But I'm saying, don't just look younger with makeup and exercise and all that stuff. Be younger. And that's how you do it with the NAD. I've been doing it for 8 years. Hundreds and hundreds of my friends use this every single day. And they swear by it. I take 2 tablets, 600 milligrams a day. It's awesome. It's awesome. You notice when you have it, and you definitely notice when you don't. And you're going to have zinc to go along with this. Zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B complex. This helps these medications optimize. The zinc gets in your cells and opens the door so that these things can do their job and remove these microparasites in your body. You don't think the parasites are a big problem? Well, that's what they used to treat back in the 1800s and early 1900s. But then medicine got smart and they said, let's not cure people. Let's just treat people and we can all get rich. And that's what they do. So I would also like to put in here right now, if you would, listeners, please include this in your prayers. You know, we pray for our enemies that their hearts will be softened or that their eyes will be diverted from us. The Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, is running interference for Big Pharma. Big Pharma does not want you to be cured. They don't want you to get these medications. They don't want me to say anything about treating, curing, or preventing any disease because it violates their market. They want to treat you until you die. That's what they want to do. All your friends are taking meds. All your radio personalities are taking meds because that's what Big Pharma does. And the other thing that they're doing is they're instructing the FDA to seize and destroy our shipments. We pay our money for those shipments. They come in, we recontainerize them and address them to you and send them to you, and you're saving your own life because of the 2017 TRI Act that President Trump signed into federal law. Big Pharma, the FDA, HHS, they are violating federal law. They think their regulations trump federal law. It doesn't. But nobody will sue them. Nobody will take them on. So I'm asking you to ask God, step in the way, make it where they can't see us, and we can continue to save lives. That's my mission. That's my mission. Right now, we have a lot of product that's out there. We have no idea where it is. We have tracking numbers for it. The post office should be delivering it to my door, but it doesn't show up for so long. And it's because of this interference that Big Pharma is commanding with their regulations. So please put that in your prayers. We want their eyes to look away. Just look away. Let us save lives. And get the hell out of our way. All right, let's get back to it because we have things that we want to talk about. Let's get back to the chat room really quick because I wanted to make sure that we keep up with everybody. What was the question? Yeah, the lifespan of a turtle, 150 years, but they move so slow. I don't even know if they have NAD in their system. Oh, yes. Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell was found unconscious. He was taken to the hospital. The official news is that he's working with his staff. He's working with his staff. Now, what does that mean? Well, I would say it probably means the same thing that it meant when he would freeze frame in the middle of a speech. His staff would come up to him, take him by the elbow. Come on, Mitch. Come on, Mitch. It's time to go. Time for your Adderall. That's enough, Mitch. That's enough camera. And of course, Mitch votes. And when he's not there, somebody votes in his place. Well, this is called incompetence. This is called not being able to be physically or mentally capable of doing the job. So now he has gone unconscious. I believe if he's awake, he's sipping soup through a straw. My guess is these are his last days. Now, this is a good thing and it's a bad thing. It's a good thing because we don't have to see his face anymore. We don't have to hear his communist spiel anymore. But it's a bad thing because the governor of Kentucky is a Democrat, a radical Democrat. Put in place over and over again, these radical Democrat governors in a hugely Republican state, both Republican senators, tons of Republican congressmen, tons of Republican mayors. Why do they have a Democrat in the governor's mansion? Because the teachers union puts him there. The teachers union puts him there. And you can't beat him. You can't beat him. There's so many teachers in the state of Kentucky, and they're so well organized. They make sure that Democrat stays in the governor's mansion. So now the governor gets to appoint a replacement for Mitch McConnell. And chances are we're not going to get a conservative. We're not going to, maybe not even get a Republican. I'm not sure. The will of the people of Kentucky is going to be usurped. Probably they will keep Mitch McConnell alive until Election Day because they need that interference. They need that person to run interference and block Trump's legislation. But that's why I'm saying these declarations of national emergency, they're coming. They're coming. I've been saying it for 2 months. Now, finally, these things are starting to get the flavor. They're starting to get the momentum. You're going to see this declaration of emergency to protect the election infrastructure come. And if it's done correctly, the National Guard will go shred all the drop boxes. All the drop boxes in the country will be destroyed. If you're going to receive a ballot in the mail, you must show proper ID, prove that you're a citizen, get that ballot, fill it out, have it witnessed, and return it through the mail, and it must be postmarked by Election Day. If it's not postmarked by Election Day, it's not going to count. And the thing is, nationwide, what's happening is illegals and people that have no right to vote are filling out those ballots and dropping them in the drop boxes. There is no postmark. There is no mail system. There is no chain of custody. They're just dropped in the box by the armloads, by ballot handlers, by harvesters. And that's how these precincts are being lost, one after the other. So the National Guard, the president needs to declare a state of emergency and say, we're no longer going to allow voting in this manner. It doesn't matter what the state says. This is federal emergency. Our election infrastructure has been attacked by a foreign adversary. And this is what we're going to do to stop it. We're going to crush all the drop boxes. And then you have to hit the little blue box, or you have to go to the post office in person and mail that ballot. It has to be done. It has to be done. If it's not done, we will lose America. It's simple as that. If it is done, the Democrats won't win an election for 50 years. They just won't. They'll have to change if they're going to get elected in this country. What is this? Oh. Well, Matt Hat says that Foxhole will put you in timeout for posting links or shouting out someone else's chat. There's a pretty popular show on Wednesday that has been sucking the air out of a lot of chats in the Foxhole on Wednesday. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, we used to have 150 people on Foxhole any given night. Now we have 2. And it's because 1 or 2 hosts have figured out how to suck all the air out of the room. So the guy that runs Foxhole, we just call him pilled.net, he runs it, and he's going to make sure that this doesn't happen. So the good hosts like us, who are posting great content and getting audience the right way, will continue to do that. All right, let's see what else is in Discord. I have the best Discord staff on the planet. Well, I don't know if this is real or not, but I want to play it anyway. So just let me share this with you. Here we go.
To further this contrived false narrative that ultimately led to a years-long coup to try to undermine President Trump's presidency.
And it's your belief that those 2 previous investigations missed that or covered it up?
I'm telling you to look at evidence. Look at the evidence, and you will know the truth.
John. Thanks, Caroline. Thanks, Director Gabbard. You declassified these documents, if I'm not mistaken, Friday of last week, correct?
We released them Friday of last week, the first tranche, yes.
This isn't the first time that President Trump has been president of the United States. He was president from 2017 to 2021. Couldn't prior DNI under President Trump have declassified these documents? And why didn't that DNI do that at that time?
I can't speak to what happened there. There were several DNIs under the first Trump administration. President Trump faced many challenges from those who were working in the government who sought to undermine his presidency. That's been clearly detailed. What I can speak to is the fact that this was one of the first things that we started to investigate here within this Trump administration and have released the results upon the conclusion of our investigation.
And then my second question has to do with what intelligence agencies around the world have said about Russia, that they have tried to influence elections in the United States, in France, in Germany, in the UK. Do you disagree with that? Do you believe that Russia is a bad actor as it relates to trying to influence elections?
I'll point back to the intelligence that President Trump has ordered declassified, that we have declassified and released, that the intelligence reflects Russia's motives were to try to sow discord and chaos within the U.S. election, which is a clear distinction from showing a preference for or against a specific candidate, which is what the Obama manufactured intelligence document alleges, that Russia preferred Donald Trump and tried to help Donald Trump get elected. Again, going back to the most important point here, with the intent to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump's election and therefore subvert the will of the American people who chose to send him to the White House.
Reagan. Thanks, Caroline. Director Gabbard, Reagan Reese with the Daily Caller. You laid out that the documents revealed that the Obama administration did not publish a December 2016 presidential daily briefing that demonstrated that Russia did not steal the election. Trump was receiving these briefings at the time because he was president-elect. Are you of the view that that information was kept out of the briefing because then President-elect Donald Trump would have seen it?
I don't have any documents that speak to exactly what the new guidance was that was given as the reason for pulling that document, which, by the way, still has never been published until we released it last week, Friday. One could assume that they didn't want President Trump to see a document that came from the intelligence community that would contradict the Russia hoax narrative that began through the Hillary Clinton campaign with the Steele dossier.
One more, maybe either for you or Caroline. The president said yesterday that Obama committed treason. Do you or the White House believe that the Supreme Court's immunity decision protects Obama from prosecution?
Look, I can speak to the president's feelings on this matter. He spoke to all of you yesterday in the Oval Office, but I also spoke to him about this morning. And he wants to see all those who perpetuated this fraud against our country, who betrayed our country and the Constitution, to be thoroughly investigated and held accountable. And it's been 10 years of this. And I would just add, based on everything the director has said and declassified, all of you in this room should go through it and take a look at this report and review the intelligence, because unfortunately that hasn't happened. And many of the people who perpetuated this hoax, Clapper, Andy McCabe, James Comey, and many others, have been hired by major networks in this room to go on television and continue to spew these lies, knowing that they are lies. And if you all recall, just flashback to 2016 and the years after, the entire Trump 1 presidency was embroiled in this scandal that was perpetuated by the Democrat Party. And you had major Democrat Party officials in this city, namely Adam Schiff, Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren, who went on television and told the American people, Donald Trump is an asset of Russia. It was a lie. They always knew it. Hillary Clinton herself said that President Trump would be a puppet for Putin. Senator Tim Kaine at the time called President Trump Vladimir Putin's defense lawyer. Adam Schiff stated, and one of the worst things a lawmaker can do is to tell the American people, I know something you don't know, it's just classified and I can't tell you. And that's what he said. I can tell you that the case is more than that. I can't go into the particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. And not enough people in this room, not enough journalists in this country pushed Adam Schiff to say, what are you talking about? What evidence do you have? Everybody just ran with the lies, and it led to impeachments. It led to the division of our country. Unfortunately, so many Americans, from listening to outlets in this room, believed in these lies. And it's a complete scam, and it's a scandal, and the president wants to see accountability for that. Phil.
Question for Director Gabbard. A spokesperson for former President Obama said in a statement earlier this week, quote, nothing in the documents issued last week undercuts the widely accepted conclusion that Russia worked to influence the 2016 election, but did not successfully manipulate any votes. How do you respond to critics like former President Obama and also others on the Hill who say that the administration is conflating apples and oranges here, conflating allegations of actual hacking of voter machines and allegations of interference generally?
I think the disservice to the American people that former President Obama's office and others who are criticizing the transparency that is being delivered by releasing these documents, they are doing a disservice to the American people and trying to deflect away from their culpability in what is a historic scandal and negative action towards the American people and our democratic republic. The answer to that statement can very clearly be found throughout all of the documents that we have released. Again, showing that Russia has took action to try to sow discord in the election, but showed no preference for or against any singular candidate.
You've long been an opponent of weaponization in government. How do you respond to criticism that referring Obama administration officials and even potentially the former president is just more weaponization, and this is a potential race to the bottom?
I think that's a very disrespectful attack on the American people who deserve the truth. They deserve to have faith and trust in the integrity of our democratic republic, which has been undermined by President Obama through his direction of this manufactured fake intelligence document, knowing that it was filled with lies and knowing that it would and could then be used for all of the actions that came after.
Caroline, and I would just add, there needs to be accountability for that weaponization, Phil, that we've seen. And no one has been a victim of the weaponized government more than President Trump, not just because of this political scandal. You all recall his house was raided. So I think, it's very disingenuous for people to say, how dare they speak of former President Obama about this based on evidence and based on intelligence when the former president of the United States, Donald Trump's home was raided, when he was forced to sit in a Manhattan courtroom and many other courtrooms across the country for crimes he never committed, when he was impeached and indicted, and the entire country witnessed that. That's the weaponization of justice. Now the president is back because the American people see the truth. Nearly 80 million Americans reelected him back to this office, and he believes that we need to have justice and accountability. And I think the nearly 80 million Americans who reelected him agree with that. Kate.
Well, I agree with that too. I don't want to see this tit for tat weaponization go back and forth. But, Mark Hovsepian brings up the best point of all. Let me know when anyone goes to jail. All these accusations flying around, all these referrals to the Department of Justice flying around, and grand juries even being convened, and indictments going out, but nobody goes to jail. Nobody comes to court. It's because they lawyer up. They know how to do the side steps. They know how to file the paperwork to keep themselves out of jail long enough to take their campaign funds home and set up their grandkids and their kids in business. They know how to move their stocks around. They know how to stay rich and powerful. We call this, in other countries, they're called oligarchs. People like Bernie Sanders, people like AOC, people like Ariana Presley, people like Ilhan Omar. These are oligarchs. We see them operating in other countries, in banana republics. You see these people who come into office, barely able to afford 2 changes of clothes in an apartment in Washington. And then a year later, they were $10 million. 5 years later, they were $20 million. That's not normal. That's not what you and I could do. They do that because they're selling their influence. They're selling their influence to the highest bidder. And that's not voters. That's not constituents. That's donors. That's what oligarchs do. They begin to own territory inside the government. And it's very hard to move them. All the times I've been to Washington, spoken to congressmen, I never got a chance to speak to Nancy Pelosi, but she was in the room when I was speaking. Spoken to high-level groups in the Pentagon. All that time, we were never able to get anything to move because we didn't have the juggernaut behind us. We didn't have the money. We were not the donor class. Yes, I hired lobbyists from time to time, but I couldn't afford much. A few $1,000s to get 30 minutes in front of somebody to make my case. But that's not how you make headway in Washington. That's not how it happens. Look at the hearings that happen. Look at the women that come in and talk about how their children were murdered and raped and tortured by illegal aliens. They speak and cry their hearts out before Congress. What happens? Nothing. Nothing happens. Look at I'll just call it clever. Look at the clever statements that are made by various congressmen about how gruesome abortion is and how ridiculous it is to call it women's health services. People are dying. Women have killed over 8 billion humans on this planet. Just women. 8 billion. All the men in all recorded history have only killed 1 billion. In all the wars and all the genocides, only 1 billion. Women have already killed 8 million kids. That's insane. It's insane. I'm sorry, 8 billion. Yeah, it's crazy. Worldwide. And to this day, here we are almost getting very close to July 4th, 2026. Abortion is the number one leading cause of death in the world. Nothing even comes close. Cancer, heart disease, you could pool diabetes, everything together. It doesn't even come close to abortion. It's insanity what we're doing. And honestly, all of you crying out for Jesus to come back and make it all right, that's not what's going to happen. I can tell you right now, based on my conversations with the Lord, he's not coming back to save us. He's coming back to judge us. And I say women are not going to survive this. They're just not going to survive this. Yes, Gramanon, Trump derangement syndrome, but it isn't just Trump. Okay, Trump's an easy target. You missed the point. It's easy to write it off to Trump derangement syndrome because of what he says, what he does, positions he holds. He's never changed. He has never changed. He's never flip-flop on anything. They don't hate him. They loved him. He wrote checks for 30 years to them until he became president of the United States. You know why they hate him? Because they hate us. They hate us. They hate you. And they hate me. And the only thing standing in between them and us is Donald Trump. And that's why you call it Trump derangement syndrome. That's an easy write-off. But it's really Brooks Agnew derangement syndrome. It's marshaling the agencies, departments, bureaus, and administrations to come after Brooks Agnew because he's trying to save lives, because he's speaking the truth on his podcast. And you could just fill in that blank. You could fill in that blank. That could be Red Pill 78. It could be any of the podcasters that you see out there that originally got kicked off of YouTube and are now back. Then I would say, if you're listening to a podcaster anywhere, even on Pilled, if you're listening to a podcaster that was not canceled by YouTube, you're listening to the wrong podcaster. You're listening to the wrong podcaster. Turn it off. You know, years ago, we used to like Mark Levin, right? And then Mark Levin turned into an anti-Trump, unbelievable sledgehammer. 2016, 2017, into 2018. Yeah, remember back. I was in Chicago working at the time. And at night, I used to listen to Patriot 125. Well, Mark Levin had a program on there. And all he did for 3 hours was slam Donald Trump. And I finally said, after about 2 months of it, I said, that's it, Mark. I'm never listening to you again. I can't stand the guy. Because he was part of it. He was part of that anti-American push. He was against me and he was against you. And because Donald Trump was standing in the way and trying to be conservative, trying to be lawful, yes, he's had 78 judges make injunctions against him. Because that's the only thing the Democrats can do is use the radical judges that they've appointed to win their war. They're trying to win their war. They're trying to steal this country. And everything you have, everything that you have worked for, they're trying to take from you. All right. Oh, Joan, we're talking about alien stuff too. Yeah. She says, I'm not comfortable with the alien stuff, thinking is demonic. Jesus did not and does not need a spacecraft and does not now. I'm with you. I think Jesus is a trans-dimensional being. I think he was the Son of God, came here as a, let's call it a crossbreed between God and human, and he lived a normal mortal life. Of course, he was an extraordinary member of the human race, and that influenced nations before he ever went to the River Jordan and got baptized and had his mission for 3 years. That influence is out there. Go to Tibet, you'll see it. You'll see drawings of him, legends of him all over the East where he preached and where he taught and learned. When he came back to the River Jordan, he was 30. He was 30. He left Egypt in his teens. So the legends are out there. And he changed the world and never traveled more than 60 miles from his home. There was no social media. He could have been alive today. My goodness, he would have instantly reached the whole world with media we have today. Not so in those days. And the crazy thing is the words that he spoke and the lessons that he taught to his people, to his disciples and to his people, they were lost. They were corrupted. They were written down and then they were altered. They were gathered up by wicked men like Constantine in 310 at the Council of Nicaea. And these manuscripts, they made a choice. This council made a choice. The people don't need to hear this. The people don't need to hear that. We need to do this and do that. Let's parse these words and create a doctrine that we will teach the people. Not through written word. Not through written word, because the people themselves were illiterate. There was no written word among the people. They didn't have manuscripts. They didn't have Bibles. They went to church. And the church leaders are the ones that gave them their doctrine. And from 310 until the mid-1600s, that doctrine changed so much. My goodness, you can't even get the straight story without reading the Bible in multiple languages, because it gets corrupted. Every single time it's translated, it's corrupted. If you could go and get yourself a copy of the Ethiopian Bible, I don't know if you could read in that language, but it's been translated into English now. Read it. Go ahead and read it. You will see all kinds of perspectives that you never heard before. Why? Because the church removed those words from you. Now, you could go ahead and say, well, that's God's will. You know, what was left in the Bible, that's God's word. Yes, it is God's word, but it's not all of God's word. That's why you pray. That's why you pray for inspiration and prophecy and revelation, because you want the rest of it. All right, let's see here. No, I don't want to do that right now. What else do we have? I can tell you my printer's trying to update its software right now in the middle of my podcast, so I don't know what's going to happen. All right. Oh, there we go. Look at that crap. Okay, hopefully it's done. All right, let's see. On 3 Texas. Oh, he's watching the World Cup and listening to us at the same time. That's fine. I like soccer. All my kids played soccer, but I still think it's a conspiracy against hand-eye coordination. Yeah, the Somalian Bible is titled Medicaid Fraud. That's right, Washaki Wind. Exactly right. Yeah. So let's just finish off talking about aliens and disclosure and all of that. I believe that there is life out there in the cosmos because the cosmos is so big. There's so much out there. It's hard to believe that there would be no other worlds out there, especially when God said in the scriptures through his son, worlds I have without number. Worlds I have without number, not unpopulated, worlds with populations on them. And I will tell you that not all worlds are like Earth. Earth is very rare. In some worlds, they have more gravity, less gravity. They have different atmospheric combinations than we have. And so DNA, yes, DNA like we have in our bodies right now, the same DNA, by the way, God's DNA, it expresses itself different in that environment than it does here. Here, we have, over time, adapted to this environment. We can survive on the amount of oxygen in our atmosphere. We can survive on the amount of CO2, which is 0.02% or 0.04, no, it's 0.02%. But we can survive on the nitrogen in our atmosphere. We can hold our breath underwater. We have now learned to fly. We have adapted to our planet. But the expression of human DNA is only partially done on this planet. We have a lot of DNA that is not expressed on this planet because we don't need it. I mean, look at us, all right? We're not hairy. We don't have claws. We can't run 80 miles an hour. We don't have, sharp flesh-tearing teeth. We survive on our intellect. If you go to any population you want, anywhere on the planet, people only spend about 15% of their time outside. Even you probably spend less than 15% of your time outside. You have an air-conditioned and heated car. You have an air-conditioned and heated house. You have an air-conditioned and heated office. If you were forced to go out in this 102-degree weather that we have right now without any shelter, you would die. You would dehydrate, you would sunburn, you would go blind, you would die. So we build shelter for ourselves. We're not built to survive in the wild like an animal. We have adapted to this planet. And that's what happens on other planets too. This DNA expresses itself differently. If Elon Musk gets his way and we become the aliens to Mars, or to the moon for that matter, if we are able to go there and build a colony and have that colony has a population and that population begins to give birth to children, a child born on the moon is never coming back to Earth. Not going to happen. A child born on Mars will never be able to come back to Earth. Earth would crush them. Earth would crush them. A fetus brought to term and delivered on the moon would not have the bone density or muscle density to be able to survive on Earth. That's right. They would be a Martian. They would be whatever you call a Lunan, a moon child. They would never come back to this world. Why? Because their DNA is going to adapt to that world. We've proven it with rabbits and rats and bees and everything. We've proven it. If you gestate and give birth in zero gravity, the animal changes the way it's expressed. It changes the way it's developed in the womb because of different gravitational radiation influences on it. And the longer that goes on, the more different it becomes. So I can tell you, just as a matter of faith and I will call it light memory, and if you take my course on remembering the future, you'll understand this, but based on faith and my own light memory, that beings have lived on other worlds. And if those worlds are destroyed, that being is now a free agent and can go to another world. It doesn't mean that they come here in that form. They have to come here in human form. But when your spirit uses a human body as the peripheral to be able to interpret the third dimension and survive in the third dimension here on this planet, that union is unique. You are the only one. You're the only one with your DNA. You're definitely the only one with your spirit. There is no other spirit identical to you because you have grown over eons of time. You have learned things and become the personality that you are as much as you can remember. I mean, gosh, you're born here on this planet. You can't even wipe your own ass until you're 2-3 years old. You can't even speak. You don't have a full intellect until you're probably 9 or 10. And then it changes again by the time you're 19, and it changes again by the time you're 50. So it's no wonder you don't remember who you were. Maybe you think that's not important. It's not important to remember who I was. It's important to know who I am now. Okay, well, let me ask you the question. Anybody in the chat room, who are you now? Who are you now? Did you become what you dreamed you would be when you were 10 years old, when you were 9 years old? Have you become what you dreamed you would be? Hell no, you haven't. Why? Well, because things didn't work out. No, it's because a lot of choices were made for you by other people. You were indoctrinated. You were sent to school or not sent to school. You were encouraged. You were taught. You were trained to speak, to play, to interact with other people. And you don't remember who you were or really who you are because you're older than worlds. I'm not 71. I'm 1,871 years old. Yeah, imagine how wise you could become in almost 2,000 years of life. Very wise. And that's why you meet old souls in this world, because they know who they are. They remember who they are. And you also see people that are fresh out of the womb. Oh my gosh. Any street you want to go to, any restaurant you want to go to, you'll meet them. Any Walmart you want to go to, you'll meet them. All right, so that's what I think about aliens. Aliens exist. Now, is it possible for an alien to get from that world in the Summer Triangle, 1,800 light years away, to here in physical form? No, I just don't think that's possible. All Ashton Forbes aside, I don't think it's possible. You could teleport your mind. You can send your consciousness to those regions and learn things and see things. But physically taking your body, putting it into a can of whatever make you want, titanium, aluminum, stainless steel, and taking it to another world in another star system, there's no physics that allows that to happen. Sorry, there's just no physics. The only way to do it is to die on that world and be born again here. And good luck remembering who you are. You have to have a very, very strong personality to be able to survive all the indoctrination by your family and your friends and remember who you are. You know, I remember I think I was 15 years old. I wasn't driving it. I was still riding my 10-speed. And my grandfather was trying to tell me, why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your brother and study and put, get into college and go that way? And I looked at him and I said, I am the Brooks Agnew. There is no other being like me on this planet. And he did not understand at all. He thought I was being arrogant, that I was being above it all. That wasn't it at all. I remembered my uniqueness. I've been writing about it since I was 9 years old. And by the time I was 19, I didn't fit into the human situation at all. I had to go my own way. And let me tell you, it was a rough way to go. I found there was a bottom, and I found there was a bottom below that one. And everything I have, everything I've earned, everything I've become, I did on my own. I was orphaned at 15, shortly after that conversation with my grandfather, and that was it. It was me, and the clothes on my back. And I've come this far. You can do the same thing. And it doesn't matter if you're 15 or 50. I didn't write my first book until I was 50 years old. And I have 13 in print now. I didn't appear on any radio program. Well, I did in high school, but on any program seriously as a guest until I was 50 years old. I'm now 71, so I've been at it for 21 years. And there have been people that have been at it a lot longer than me. They have a much bigger audience than I do. That's okay. That's okay. You guys tune in, and I'm telling you the truth. I don't care if you're 15 or 50. You can remember who you are, and you can take control of your life and accomplish things. Change direction. And if you think, no, I'm locked in, I got kids, I got grandkids, trust me, your kids and your grandkids will exactly understand what you're doing. and they will support you, and they will love you every hour of your life. If you stay in the misery and the hell, the little box that you're in, and hate your life for the rest of your life, and hate every morning when you wake up saying, God, why am I still here? I just want to go. Just take me. If you're in that shape, you've missed the point. You've missed the point of mortality. We fought a war in heaven. I don't know how long that war lasted or what the casualties were, how we even fought that war. But I do know we fought it. And you know what we fought about? This. We fought about this mortality. That's what the war was over. 2/3 of the host of heaven said, I will take mortality just the way it is. And 1/3 said, no, I want a mortality with everything guaranteed. I want a mortality with free food and free health care. I want a mortality with free dental and free housing. I don't want to have to work my whole life. I don't want to have to become something or produce something. 1/3 of the host of heaven, and they fought a freaking war over it, and they lost. In other words, the treasure of a spirit, the goal, the dream of a spirit is to become mortal. Because in mortality, you learn. You learn through pain, and you learn through pleasure. You learn through mystery and through repetition. And you get to write in the Akashic Record. The Akashic Record is written by mortals. It's not written by gods. It's not written by superhumans or angels. It's written by us. Why do you think they were so mad? Why do you think they were so jealous of us? And let me tell you, the jealousy and the envy of the angels, I don't even have words for it. Who would go through all of those mortalities, all of that elevation, and earn the rank of angel, and then fall because of mortality, because of the envy of mortality? Because this is the greatest treasure in the universe. And if there are aliens coming here to this earth, it's because of that. It's because of watching us. We are God's people in mortal form. And once you die, and trust me, I've done it, it's the easiest thing in the world. God, I tell you, when I died in 2012, it was like, I don't see what the big deal is. That was so easy. I mean, yeah, I was smashed up and everything, but I felt nothing. I was free. I was out of here. It doesn't matter if you suffer with cancer your whole life and die in pain. It doesn't matter if you burn to death or drown or you're murdered. Once you're dead, none of that matters. None of that pain even registers anymore. To be able to come back in the same body, in the same mortality, to be revived and be given that chance to live out the rest of immortality in 2012. It's now 2026. That was 14 years ago. My God, look what I have accomplished in 14 years. It's unbelievable. It's unchartable what I've accomplished in 14 years. Why? Because I realized once I started breathing air again, it took me a couple of years to heal, but once I started breathing air again, I realized that this could be over in a millisecond. It could be done, and you're done. You don't get to finish. You don't get to learn. You don't get to do the things you've been dreaming about. You're finished. You have to start over somewhere else, some other age, and then you might not remember who you are. I remembered who I was, and I wanted to do great things. And I wanted to, if I could, help the world avoid destruction. And when I saw that vision in 2007 of where we were going to be in 2015, I said to myself, I got to do something. I'm just a dumb old engineer. Nobody even knows my name. Nobody even knows who I am. It's 2007. What can I do to help the world miss that end that I saw in 2015? And that's why I wrote Remembering the Future, The Physics of the Soul and Time Travel. I wrote that book out of pure inspiration. It flowed through me. And when I published it, it became an instant national bestseller. It's been a bestseller for a long, long time. And what did we do? We changed the timelines. The timelines began splintering because people could then manipulate the future for their own goals, their own dreams. And it ended up messing up the future for the people that had already planned it. And we missed that destruction in 2015. We missed it by that much. We just missed. On another timeline, this world is destroyed because of what happened in 2015, 2016. We were saved from it. We were saved from it because of millions and millions, over 30 million people heard or read that story, Remembering the Future, and we altered the world. That's what I'm saying. We are not out of time. And regardless of what they're trying to tell you, that all is lost, that everything belongs to them, that you don't have anything and you can never be anything because of the color of your skin or where you're born or what language you speak, that's bullshit. You are a combination of a spirit that is older than worlds, and you have a body as a peripheral in this dimension. Use it and do great things. Please go out and look for the good in others and help it to grow a little bit every day. And before long, we will save the world. That's how it's done. Don't let them black pill you. Don't let them tell you that you can't be anything. You're 60 years old. You've already screwed your life up so bad you can't do anything. That's nonsense. Tomorrow, tonight, you could do something. Yes, you could. Just please remember who you are. If you could remember who you are, if you could gather that light memory that's inside of you that stretches across galaxies, between galaxies, there's nothing that can stop you. Nothing. You set your own limitations. Place your dreams out there, place your energy behind those things that are resonating with that dream, and you can accomplish anything. Anything. Now we're coming up on July 4th. Celebrate the crap out of it. We're going to blow up half of Charlotte. It's going to be amazing. Our fireworks rival the national fireworks, but enjoy it. Enjoy our nation. Enjoy your freedom and liberty. And we will see you on Sunday night right here on America Free Radio. Now go and do great things, Earth Explorers. We'll see you. Well, we should be having some break music here in a second. Should be playing. I think it's about a minute behind on Revolution Radio. Anyway, I've loved being here with you tonight. I've loved the chat. I've tried to keep up with you guys. You're way faster than I am. Yes, peace out, Bosk Birding, first person in the chat room tonight, and have a great Independence Day.